In a busy doctor's waiting room, a young girl flinches every time her father touches her shoulder. Her eyes dart nervously around the room, carefully pulling her sleeve down whenever he looks away. Why is she so afraid? What secret is she hiding? Dr. Kapoor notices something isn't right as she watches the girl's strange behavior. But nobody could have predicted what a simple X-ray would reveal, or why police would rush to the scene within minutes. Some cries for help can't be heard until it's almost too late. The waiting room at Dr. Kapoor's office was busy that Tuesday afternoon. 7 patients sat scattered among the blue chairs, flipping through old magazines or staring at their phones. But Dr. Kapoor couldn't help noticing the girl in the corner seat. 12-year-old Zara Miller kept her eyes fixed on the cartoon playing silently on the TV mounted to the wall. She wore a baggy purple hoodie despite the warm May weather, sleeves pulled down over her hands. Every few minutes, she would glance at the man beside her, then quickly look away. Her father, Ray Miller, scrolled through his phone, occasionally sighing loudly to show his impatience. He was a tall man with neatly trimmed hair and an expensive watch that he checked every few minutes. "Shouldn't be much longer," he said, not looking up from his screen. Zara nodded without speaking. She shifted in her seat, wincing slightly as she moved her right arm. "Stop fidgeting," Ray said, his voice low but sharp. "You're making me nervous." "Sorry," Zara whispered, going completely still. From her position at the reception desk, Dr. Kapoor watched the interaction with growing concern. In 15 years as a pediatrician, she had developed a sense for when something wasn't right. The easy way Zara shrank into herself, how she seemed afraid to make a sound, these weren't typical behaviors for a 12-year-old. "Sweetie, are you thirsty?" Ray asked suddenly, his voice now warm and caring. "I can get you some water." Zara shook her head quickly. "No thanks, Dad." "You sure? It might be a while still." "I'm okay." Ray smiled and placed his hand on Zara's shoulder. Dr. Kapoor didn't miss how the girl tensed at his touch, though her face remained blank. "Miller?" called Nurse Jenny, appearing in the doorway with a clipboard. "Zara Miller?" Zara stood up slowly, careful with her right arm. "Want me to come back with you, kiddo?" Ray asked, already rising from his chair. A flash of something, fear, crossed Zara's face before vanishing. "The form says she sprained her wrist," Nurse Jenny said, checking her notes. "Playing soccer," Ray answered quickly. "She's on the school team. Fell during practice yesterday." "I'm fine," Zara added softly. "It just hurts when I move it." "Dr. Kapoor will take a look," Nurse Jenny said with a reassuring smile. "Dad, you can come too if you'd like." Dr. Kapoor approached them, chart in hand. "Good afternoon, Zara. I'm Dr. Kapoor." Zara looked up, meeting the doctor's eyes only briefly before looking down again. "Hi, let's get you checked out. First, we'll need your height and weight." Ray followed as they walked toward the scale. "She's been so clumsy lately, growing too fast, I think. She's shot up 2 inches since Christmas." "That happens at this age," Dr. Kapoor said, watching as Zara stepped on the scale. The numbers settled at 82 pounds, concerning for a girl her height and age. "Zara, have you been eating well?" "Before Zara could answer, Ray jumped in. "She's a picky eater. I've been trying to get more protein in her diet." Dr. Kapoor made a note in the chart. "Follow me to exam room 3, please." As they walked down the hallway, Dr. Kapoor noticed Zara trailing, several steps behind her father, her eyes fixed on the floor tiles. When they reached the exam room, the girl hesitated at the doorway. "Zara, I'll need to examine your wrist and ask you some questions about how the injury happened," Dr. Kapoor explained. "Sometimes it helps if I can talk to patients alone first. Mr. Miller, would you mind waiting outside for just a few minutes?" Ray's smile didn't reach his eyes. Is that really necessary? She's only 12. Dad? It's okay, Zara said quietly. You can check your emails. I know you're busy. Ray looked between his daughter and the doctor. Well, if you're sure, kiddo. He squeezed Zara's shoulder again, that same tense reaction from her, and then added to Dr. Kapoor, she falls a lot, always has. Probably something to do with her balance. After Ray left, Dr. Kapoor closed the door and turned to Zara with a gentle smile. Let's take a look at that wrist. Zara very slowly pushed up her sleeve, revealing a swollen, bruised wrist. But Dr. Kapoor's trained eye caught something else. Older bruises, yellowing around the edges on her forearm. That looks painful, Dr. Kapoor said softly. Can you tell me exactly how it happened? Zara's eyes darted to the closed door, then back to the doctor. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. I fell. At soccer practice. When was practice? Yesterday. And who's your coach? A pause. Coach Wilson. And were there other girls there when you fell? Zara nodded too quickly. Everyone was there. We were running drills. Dr. Kapoor kept her face neutral as she gently examined the wrist. Zara, I'd like to get an X-ray to make sure nothing's broken. Is that okay? For the first time, something like hope flickered in Zara's eyes. She nodded. Good. I'll have Nurse Jenny take you to the X-ray room. Dr. Kapoor stood up. Oh, and Zara, you're safe here. You know that, right? The girl didn't answer, but her eyes filled with tears. She quickly blinked away. Outside in the hallway, Ray Miller was pacing, checking his watch. He looked up sharply as Dr. Kapoor emerged. Well, is it just a sprain like I thought? We're going to take an X-ray to be sure, Dr. Kapoor replied calmly. It won't take long. As Nurse Jenny led Zara toward the X-ray room, the girl looked back at her father with fear in her eyes. And Dr. Kapoor knew with certainty that something was very wrong in the Miller household. Mr. Miller, she said, maintaining a professional tone, the X-ray will take about 15 minutes. Our waiting room has better cell reception if you need to make any calls. Ray glanced at his watch again. We need to be done by 4. I have an important meeting. We'll do our best, Dr. Kapoor replied. She watched him reluctantly return to the waiting area before heading to the examination room where Zara now waited alone. The girl sat perched on the edge of the exam table, shoulders hunched forward. When the door opened, she flinched. It's just me, Dr. Kapoor said gently, closing the door behind her. Nurse Jenny will take you for the X-ray in a few minutes. While we wait, can we talk a little? Zara gave a tiny nod, her eyes fixed on her sneakers. How's school going? Dr. Kapoor pulled up a stool and sat down, keeping her body language open and non-threatening. Fine. What's your favorite subject? A pause. Art. And science, I guess. Do you have many friends at school? Zara's fingers twisted in her lap. Not really. We moved here last year, so that must be hard. Moving to a new school, making new friends? The girl shrugged. It's okay. Dr. Kapoor made a note in her chart. Why did your family move? Dad's job. The answer came quickly, rehearsed. And it's just you and your dad at home? Zara's eyes darted to the door, then back to her lap. Yes. Your mother isn't in the picture? A long silence followed. When Zara finally spoke, her voice was flat. She left when I was 9. Dad says she couldn't handle being a mom anymore. Dr. Kapoor nodded, keeping her expression neutral despite the alarm bells ringing in her head. That must have been difficult for you. No response. Zara, I noticed you've lost some weight since your last visit 6 months ago. Are you eating regular meals? I'm not very hungry most days. Are you sleeping okay? You look tired. I have bad dreams sometimes. Dr. Kapoor leaned forward slightly. Zara, I see a bruise on your arm, above your wrist. Did that happen during soccer practice too? The girl quickly pulled her sleeve down. I bruise easily. Do you have any other bruises or injuries you're concerned about? No. The answer came too quickly. You know, as your doctor, my job is to make sure you're healthy and safe. If something is happening that's making you scared or hurting you, you can tell me. I'm here to help. Tears welled in Zara's eyes, but she blinked them away. I'm fine, really. A soft knock at the door interrupted them. Nurse Jenny poked her head in. X-ray room is ready for Zara. Perfect timing, Dr. Kapoor said. Zara, Nurse Jenny will take you for the X-ray now. I'll look at the results, and then we'll talk again, okay? As Zara followed Nurse Jenny out, Dr. Kapoor watched her shuffling gait, noting how the girl held herself as if her ribs were tender. She waited until they were down the hall before stepping out to observe Ray Miller. He wasn't in the waiting room chair where she'd left him. Instead, he paced near the reception desk, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in hushed but angry tones. I don't care what it takes, she overheard him say. Just make sure everything looks normal before… He spotted Dr. Kapoor and immediately ended the call. Everything okay with Zara? He asked, sliding the phone into his pocket. She's getting her X-ray now. Mr. Miller, has Zara had any other recent injuries I should know about? His face hardened for a split second, before relaxing into a concerned father's expression. Like I said, she's clumsy. Always has been. But nothing serious. And she's eating well at home. Of course. Why wouldn't she be? Dr. Kapoor chose her next words carefully. Children sometimes lose weight during growth spurts, but Zara's weight loss is more significant than I'd expect. Ray's jaw tightened. Are you suggesting I don't feed my daughter, doctor? Not at all. I'm just trying to understand what might be affecting her health. Well, I can assure you she has plenty to eat. If she's choosing not to eat it, that's another matter. Dr. Kapoor nodded. I understand you're in a hurry today, but I'd like to do a thorough examination after we see the X-ray results. Fine, Ray said, checking his watch again. But like I said, we need to be out of here by 4. As if on cue, the receptionist approached. Dr. Kapoor with a tablet. Doctor, Ms. Valdez sent over the initial X-ray images for you to review. Dr. Kapoor took the tablet, angling it away from Ray. What she saw made her stomach drop. Excuse me, Mr. Miller. I need to check something with our technician. I'll be right back. Dr. Kapoor hurried down the hallway, tablet clutched tightly in her hands. The X-ray room was at the end of the corridor. She entered to find Ms. Valdez, the X-ray technician, still positioning Zara's arm for additional images. Hi there, Zara. How are you doing? Dr. Kapoor asked, keeping her voice light. Okay, Zara whispered. She seemed more relaxed, away from her father, her shoulders less tense. Ms. Valdez, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a colorful scrub top covered in cartoon animals, smiled at Zara. She's being very brave. We're almost done with these extra shots. Extra shots? Dr. Kapoor asked, meeting Ms. Valdez's eyes meaningfully. Yes, I wanted to get clearer images of the wrist from different angles, Ms. Valdez said carefully. Zara, did you know I have a granddaughter about your age? She loves puzzles. Do you like puzzles? A tiny smile appeared on Zara's face. Sometimes. I bet you're good at them, Ms. Valdez continued, as she gently repositioned Zara's arm. "Hold. Still for me, sweetheart." While Ms. Valdez chatted with Zara, Dr. Kapoor moved to the computer screen displaying the X-ray images. What she saw confirmed her worst fears. There was indeed a hairline fracture in Zara's right wrist, but that wasn't all. The X-ray revealed the ghostly shadows of older fractures in various stages of healing. A partially healed rib fracture, healed breaks in 2 fingers, and signs of an old collarbone injury. Dr. Kapoor controlled her expression, not wanting to alarm Zara. She caught Ms. Valdez's eye and gave a small nod. "Zara, I'm going to step outside with Dr. Kapoor for just a moment," Ms. Valdez said. "Can you sit tight? There's a magazine here if you'd like to look at it." In the hallway, Ms. Valdez closed the door and spoke in a hushed voice. "I've been doing this job for 25 years, Doctor. Those aren't sports injuries." "I know," Dr. Kapoor agreed grimly. "The pattern is consistent with defensive wounds and repeated trauma. Some are weeks old, others months." "The father?" "Almost certainly. We need to call Child Protective Services immediately, and the police." Ms. Valdez nodded. "I'll stay with the girl. What about the father?" "He's in the waiting room, getting impatient. He said they need to leave by 4 o'clock. That gives us about 30 minutes. Dr. Kapoor took a deep breath. "I'll have Diane at reception call 911 while I keep Mr. Miller distracted with paperwork. He can't take Zara out of here." "Understood. What do I tell Zara?" "Just keep her calm. Don't mention anything about the old fractures yet." Dr. Kapoor headed back toward the waiting room, stopping at the reception desk first. She kept her voice low as she spoke to Diane. "I need you to quietly call 911. Tell them we have a child abuse situation and we need officers here immediately. The father is in the waiting room. Say we need someone plain-clothed if possible." Diane's eyes widened, but she nodded professionally. In the waiting room, Ray was pacing again. He spotted Dr. Kapoor immediately. "Finally, what's taking so long?" "Mr. Miller, there's some paperwork we need to complete," Dr. Kapoor said smoothly. "Insurance information and consent forms for Zara's treatment." "Can't we do that after? We're running late." "It will only take a few minutes. We're still processing the X-rays." She guided him back to the reception desk where Diane was already, pulling up forms on her computer, her phone discreetly tucked between her ear and shoulder as she pretended to be on hold with an insurance company. "Is it broken?" Ray asked, reluctantly taking the clipboard Diane handed him. "We'll know more shortly," Dr. Kapoor replied. "Mr. Miller, does Zara participate in any sports besides soccer?" "No." "Why?" "Just updating her medical record." "Physical activity is important at her age." Ray frowned as he filled out the forms. "Where is Zara now?" "Still with our technician. They're almost finished." Dr. Kapoor glanced at the clock on the wall. Just 20 minutes until this man planned to leave with Zara. She prayed the police would arrive in time. Behind Ray's back, Diane gave a subtle nod. Help was on the way. 10 minutes later, a woman in plain clothes entered the clinic. She wore dark slacks and a navy blazer, her badge discreetly clipped to her belt, where it was mostly hidden by her jacket. She approached the reception desk with a confident stride. "Good afternoon," she said to Diane. "I'm Officer Tate. I understand you have a situation." Ray looked up from the insurance forms, his eyes narrowing at the newcomer. Dr. Kapoor stepped forward quickly. "Thank you for coming. Mr. Miller, this is Ms. Tate from Hospital Security. Standard procedure when we have minors receiving treatment." Officer Tate smiled pleasantly, extending her hand to Ray. "Nice to meet you, sir." Ray hesitated before shaking her hand. "Hospital Security?" Is that really necessary? Just routine, Officer Tate assured him. Children's safety is our priority. We're actually running late for an appointment, Ray said, checking his watch again. It's been nearly 40 minutes now. Can someone please tell me what's happening with my daughter? Dr. Kapoor nodded. I'll check on her right now. Officer Tate, would you mind accompanying me? Mr. Miller, will just be a moment. The final form needs your signature when you're done. Diane slid another paper toward Ray, pointing to several blank lines requiring signatures. Take your time with these, sir. Some are quite detailed. As Dr. Kapoor led Officer Tate down the hallway, she whispered, "Thank you for coming so quickly. The X-rays show multiple fractures in various stages of healing. Classic abuse pattern." "Has the child disclosed anything?" Officer Tate asked quietly. "Not yet. She's terrified. Claims the current injury is from soccer practice." "Where is she now?" "X-ray room with our technician. The father insists they need to leave by 4 o'clock. He's getting increasingly agitated." Officer Tate checked her watch. "Backup is on the way. 2 officers will be here within 5 minutes to secure the waiting area. We need to keep the girl separated from her father." They reached the X-ray room where Ms. Valdez was showing Zara a magazine with pictures of puppies. Zara looked up when they entered, her face immediately closing off at the sight of a stranger. "Zara, this is Ms. Tate," Dr. Kapoor said gently. "She's here to help us today." Officer Tate crouched down to be at eye level with the seated girl. "Hi there, Zara. That's a pretty name." Zara remained silent, studying the woman cautiously. "Mrs. Valdez, could you stay with Zara while I show Officer Tate the X-rays?" Dr. Kapoor asked. The technician nodded, and they stepped just outside the door. Dr. Kapoor pulled up the images on a nearby monitor. "Current fracture here on the right wrist. But look, previous fractures here, here, and here. Different healing stages. Some weeks old, some months." Officer Tate's expression hardened as she studied the images. Defensive injuries. She was trying to protect herself. She turned to Dr. Kapoor. "I need to speak with her alone." "Let me talk to her first. Prepare her," Dr. Kapoor suggested. "She hasn't disclosed anything yet." They returned to find Zara, hugging herself, eyes darting between them. "Is my dad looking for me?" she asked in a small voice. "He's finishing some paperwork," Dr. Kapoor assured her. "Zara, I'd like to talk to you about your X-rays." Ms. Valdez excused herself, saying she would keep an eye on things in the waiting area. Dr. Kapoor sat beside Zara while Officer Tate remained near the door. "Zara, your wrist does have a small fracture, what we call a hairline fracture. It should heal well with a proper cast." Zara nodded, relief crossing her face. "So we can go home now?" "Not quite yet," Dr. Kapoor said gently. "The X-rays showed something else. They showed older injuries that have been healing. Fractures in your ribs, your fingers, your collarbone." Zara's face paled. She looked down at her lap, saying nothing. "Zara, these kinds of injuries don't typically happen from playing soccer," Dr. Kapoor continued. "I'm concerned about how you got them." Tears filled Zara's eyes, but she remained silent. Officer Tate stepped forward, pulling a chair close. "Zara, my name is Officer Tate. I'm a police officer, but I work specially with kids who might be hurt or scared." Zara's head snapped up, eyes wide with fear. "Police?" "Yes. My job is to make sure you're safe," Officer Tate said. "You're not in any trouble, but I need you to tell me the truth about your injuries." "I can't," Zara whispered, a tear spilling down her cheek. "You can," Dr. Kapoor encouraged. "You're safe here. Your father can't hurt you." Zara shook her head frantically. "You don't understand. If I tell—" Her voice broke. Officer Tate leaned forward. "If you tell what, Zara?" "He'll hurt her again," Zara finally whispered, more tears flowing now. "He said, if I ever told anyone, he'd hurt her worse than before." Dr. Kapoor and Officer Tate exchanged glances. "Hurt who, Zara?" Officer Tate asked gently. Zara looked up, her face crumpling with fear and pain and something like hope. "My mom," she said. "He'll hurt my mom." A heavy silence filled the room. Dr. Kapoor's brow furrowed in confusion. "Your mom? But you said she left when you were 9. "That's what he makes me tell everyone," Zara whispered, her voice barely audible. "But it's not true." Officer Tate moved her chair closer, her voice gentle but urgent. "Zara, where is your mother now?" Zara's hands trembled as she wrapped her arms around herself. "At home, in the basement." Fresh tears streamed down her face. "Dad keeps her locked up down there. Nobody knows she's still with us. He tells everyone she ran away." Dr. Kapoor gasped softly. Officer Tate maintained her composure, though her eyes hardened. "How long has she been in the basement, Zara?" Officer Tate asked. 3 years, Zara's voice cracked. "Since I was 9, he has cameras everywhere in the house. If I try to help her or tell anyone, he says he'll hurt her even worse. And he'll take me away where no one will ever find us." Officer Tate pulled out her phone. "I need to call this in immediately. We need officers at that house right now." She stepped to the corner of the room, speaking rapidly into her phone. Dr. Kapoor moved to sit beside Zara, putting a gentle arm around the girl's shoulders. "You're incredibly brave for telling us, Zara. We're going to make sure both you and your mom are safe." "He's going to know I told," Zara said, panic rising in her voice. "He always knows. He's going to be so angry." "He can't hurt either of you anymore," Dr. Kapoor promised. "Officer Tate and her team won't let that happen." Officer Tate returned to them, her face serious. "Zara, I've just sent police officers to your house. They'll find your mom and make sure she's safe. Can you tell me the layout of your house? How to get to the basement?" Zara nodded, wiping her tears with her sleeve. "There's a hidden door in the pantry. It looks like part of the wall, but it opens if you push on the right spot. The basement is behind it. Mom stays in a room at the bottom of the stairs. There's a lock on the outside of the door. Does your father have any weapons in the house?" "He has a gun in his bedroom, in the drawer beside his bed." Officer Tate nodded, immediately relaying this information through her phone. "Zara, does your mom have any medical conditions we should know about?" "She gets sick a lot. She's really thin. Dad only gives her enough food to keep her alive." Zara's voice dropped even lower. "Sometimes he doesn't let her eat for days if she makes him mad. Or if I do something wrong." Dr. Kapoor felt sick at these words, but maintained a calm exterior for Zara's sake. "When was the last time you saw your mother?" "This morning, before school. Dad lets me bring her breakfast sometimes, if I've been good." Zara's eyes suddenly widened. "My wrist. When I saw it was getting worse, I showed Mom. She's the one who convinced Dad to take me to the doctor. She said it might get infected." "Your mother sounds very brave and clever," Officer Tate said softly. "She is," Zara agreed, a flicker of pride in her voice. "She always tells me to stay strong, that someday we'd get out." A knock at the door made Zara jump. Ms. Valdez poked her head in. "Doctor, Mr. Miller is getting very agitated. He's demanding to see his daughter now." Before Dr. Kapoor could respond, they heard a commotion from the waiting area. Raised voices, then a crash. Officer Tate immediately moved toward the door. "Stay here with Zara," she instructed Dr. Kapoor. To Ms. Valdez, she said, "Lock this door behind me." In the hallway, they could hear Ray Miller shouting, "Where is my daughter? We're leaving, now!" Ms. Valdez quickly shut and locked the door. Zara began to tremble uncontrollably. "He knows," she whispered. "He's going to kill Mom. He always said if anyone found out, the police are already at your house, Zara," Dr. Kapoor assured her, holding the girl's shaking hands. "Your mother will be safe." The shouting grew louder. Then suddenly, there was a loud thud followed by silence. Zara stared at the door, terrified. "What happened?" "Officer Tate and her colleagues are handling it," Dr. Kapoor said, though her own heart was racing. "They're making sure your father can't hurt anyone else." A few minutes later, a gentle knock came at the door. "Dr. Kapoor, it's Officer Tate. Everything's secure now." Ms. Valdez unlocked the door. Officer Tate stood there, slightly disheveled, but calm. "Mr. Miller attempted to flee," she explained. "He's been detained. We have officers taking him to the station right now." "And my mom?" Zara asked desperately. Officer Tate's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then gave Zara a gentle smile. "They've just entered your house. They're heading to the basement now." Zara burst into fresh tears, but these seemed different. Tears of relief, of release after years of carrying an impossible secret. Dr. Kapoor held her as she cried, murmuring reassurances. Officer Tate's phone buzzed again, and she stepped away to answer it. When she returned, her expression was solemn but hopeful. "Zara, they found your mother. She's alive, but she needs medical care. An ambulance is taking her to the hospital right now." "Is she okay?" Zara asked, her voice small. "She's going to need doctors to help her get better," Officer Tate said honestly. "But yes, I believe she's going to be okay." "And do you know what she said when they found her?" Zara shook her head. "She asked about you. Where's my daughter? Is Zara safe?" Those were her first words. For the first time, a genuine smile broke across Zara's tear-stained face. "Can I see her?" "Absolutely," Dr. Kapoor said. "We'll take you to her right now." While Officer Tate drove them to Mercy Hospital, her police radio crackled with updates. Zara sat quietly in the back seat, Dr. Kapoor beside her. The doctor had insisted on accompanying Zara, unwilling to let the girl face this alone. "They've searched the entire house," Officer Tate reported, glancing at Zara in the rearview mirror. "The officers said they never would have found the basement entrance if you hadn't told them where to look." "Dad designed it that way," Zara said softly. "He spent weeks building it before he put Mom down there. The pantry door looks just like the wall when it's closed." "Did anyone ever visit your house?" Dr. Kapoor asked gently. Zara shook her head. "Dad never allowed it. He said he was private. If anyone from school asked to come over, he'd make excuses." She looked down at her hands. "He homeschooled me the first year after Mom disappeared. He only let me go back to regular school when he was sure I wouldn't tell." Officer Tate's radio crackled again. She listened intently, then said, "Zara, they've found cameras throughout your house, even in your bedroom." "I know," Zara whispered. "He watches everything. He has an app on his phone where he can see all the cameras. That's how he always knows what I'm doing, even when he's at work." As they pulled up to the hospital emergency entrance, Officer Tate turned to face them. "They've also found some documents in your father's office safe. Birth certificates, passports, IDs with different names. He always said, if anyone found out, we'd disappear," Zara said, a shiver running through her, that he had everything ready for us to become different people somewhere far away. Inside the hospital, a nurse led them to a private waiting area. "Your mother is with the doctors now," she explained to Zara. "They're running tests and making sure she's stable." "How bad is she?" Dr. Kapoor asked the nurse quietly. "Severe malnourishment, dehydration, muscle atrophy from confinement," the nurse replied in a hushed tone. "Multiple healed fractures, similar to the daughter's. But she's conscious and responsive." Zara sat with her untouched cup of hot chocolate, staring at the waiting room door. "How long until I can see her?" "Soon," the nurse promised. "The doctors are taking good care of her." Meanwhile, across town, Detective Santos stood in the basement of the Miller home, documenting evidence. The hidden room behind the pantry had revealed a nightmare. A small mattress on the floor, a bucket in the corner for a toilet, a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. Chains attached to the wall showed where Evelyn Miller had been kept. "Never seen anything like this," Santos's partner, Detective Chen, said quietly. "The guy built a prison in his own house. And the neighbors never suspected a thing," Santos added, photographing the chains. "We interviewed the couple next door. They said Miller told everyone his wife abandoned the family, that she ran off with another man. They felt sorry for him, being a single dad." "Perfect cover story," Chen said. "Who would look for a woman everyone believed had left voluntarily?" Upstairs, other officers cataloged the sophisticated camera system that monitored every room. In Ray Miller's office, they found detailed notes on his wife's punishment schedule and records of when he allowed her to bathe or have extra food. "Look at this," one officer called out, opening a file folder. "He's been planning this for years. Here's property listings in rural Alaska, cash withdrawals, identity documents, an escape plan," Santos concluded, "if he ever needed to run." Back at the hospital, a doctor finally approached Zara and Dr. Kapoor. "You can see your mother now," she told Zara gently. "But I want to prepare you. She's very weak and thin. She has an IV giving her fluids and nutrients. She might look different than you remember." Zara nodded, standing up. "I know what she looks like. I've seen her every day." The doctor led them to a private room with a police officer stationed outside. Zara hesitated at the doorway, suddenly nervous. Inside, a thin woman with dull brown hair lay in the hospital bed. Her skin was pale, almost translucent. Her cheekbones sharply defined from weight loss. Despite her condition, her eyes were alert, fixed on the doorway. "Zara?" Her voice was raspy but clear. "Mom!" Zara rushed forward, stopping just short of the bed, afraid to hurt her fragile-looking mother. Evelyn Miller reached out a trembling hand. "It's okay, sweetheart. You can hug me." As Zara carefully embraced her mother, both of them crying, Dr. Kapoor and the hospital doctor exchanged glances. Against all odds, this family had survived. Their healing journey was just beginning, but they had taken the first crucial step. They were free. For the next hour, Zara sat beside her mother's hospital bed, holding her hand as if afraid Evelyn might disappear again. The medical staff came and went, checking vital signs and adjusting medications, but neither mother nor daughter seemed to notice them. "I thought about you every minute of every day," Evelyn told Zara, her voice gaining strength with each passing hour. "Hearing you move around upstairs was what kept me going. I wanted to help you escape so many times," Zara whispered. "But he said if I tried anything—" "Shh," Evelyn soothed, squeezing her daughter's hand. "You did exactly right. You protected both of us the only way you could." Dr. Kapoor watched from the doorway, not wanting to intrude, but also unwilling to leave Zara without support. A woman in a navy pantsuit approached her, extending her hand. "I'm Lillian Nguyen, from Child Protective Services," she introduced herself. "I've been assigned to Zara's case." "She hasn't left her mother's side," Dr. Kapoor explained. "I don't think she's even eaten since breakfast." Ms. Nguyen nodded. "Not surprising. After what they've been through, separation would be traumatic." She glanced into the room. "I'll need to talk with both of them, but it can wait a little longer." Inside the room, Evelyn was struggling to sit up. Zara immediately tried to help, then called for a nurse when she realized her mother was in pain. "Just sore muscles," Evelyn explained after the nurse had helped adjust her position and provided pain medication. "I didn't get to move around much down there." "How big was the room?" Dr. Kapoor asked gently, entering with Ms. Nguyen. "About 8 feet by 10 feet, Evelyn replied. "Ray would chain my ankle to the wall most of the time. He'd only remove it when he decided I could have a shower, maybe once every couple of weeks." Ms. Nguyen introduced herself and explained her role. "I know this is difficult, but I need to understand what happened to help you both moving forward." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. "It was my fault. I should have taken Zara and left years earlier, when Ray first became controlling. But I had no family nearby, no money of my own. He isolated us so gradually, I hardly noticed until it was too late." "Mom, it wasn't your fault," Zara insisted. "Your daughter is right," Ms. Nguyen said firmly. "Abusers are skilled manipulators. They create situations where victims feel trapped." "What will happen to him?" Evelyn asked. "He's in custody facing multiple serious charges," Ms. Nguyen explained. "Kidnapping, false imprisonment, child abuse, assault. The list is long. He won't be released." "What about us?" Zara asked in a small voice. "Where will we go?" "Your mother's sister has been contacted," Ms. Nguyen told them. "Karen Davis. She's flying in from Colorado tomorrow." "My sister knows I'm alive?" Evelyn gasped. "Ray told me he convinced everyone I'd abandoned my family, that no one was looking for me anymore." "That was another lie," Ms. Nguyen assured her. "Your sister has been searching for you for 3 years. She never believed you would leave Zara voluntarily." Fresh tears spilled down Evelyn's cheeks. Zara climbed carefully onto the bed next to her mother, mindful of the IV lines, and Evelyn wrapped her arm around her daughter. "I keep thinking about what I could have done differently," Zara said after a while. "Maybe if I'd told my teacher, or—" "Zara, listen to me," Ms. Nguyen interrupted gently. "Children in abusive situations face impossible choices. Your father threatened what you loved most, your mother. You were afraid, and with good reason. But the human brain responds to trauma in certain ways," Ms. Nguyen continued, "especially a child's brain. You were in survival mode, and you did survive. Both of you did. And you did tell someone, eventually," Dr. Kapoor added. "Your mother helped you find a way by suggesting the doctor visit for your wrist." Evelyn nodded. "I saw his grip leave those bruises on your arm, and something in me just snapped. I knew we might not get another chance. When he came down that night to bring my dinner, I told him the wrist looked infected, that it could spread to her blood. You played on his fear of being caught," Ms. Nguyen observed. "Yes," Evelyn admitted. "I said if Zara got seriously ill, doctors would ask questions. Better to treat it now, I told him, before it became obvious." "You were incredibly brave," Dr. Kapoor told them both. "Most people never escape situations like yours." "What happens now?" Zara asked, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. "Now you both rest and heal," Ms. Nguyen said. "Your aunt will help with the next steps. The hospital has arranged for a cot so you can stay in your mother's room tonight, Zara." "And tomorrow?" Evelyn asked. "Tomorrow is the first day of your new life," Ms. Nguyen replied, "one step at a time." As twilight fell outside the hospital window, Zara curled up on the cot beside her mother's bed, still holding Evelyn's hand across the gap between them. For the first time in 3 years, they both slept without fear. Meanwhile, Detective Santos and her team continued their careful search of the Miller house. The crime scene technicians had been working for hours, documenting everything from the hidden door mechanism to the camera system Ray had installed. "Detective, you need to see this," Officer Lin called from upstairs. Santos found her in Zara's bedroom, kneeling beside the bed. "What have you got?" Santos asked. Lin pointed to a small opening in the box spring, nearly invisible unless you were looking for it. "There's something inside." Carefully, Santos reached into the gap and pulled out a child's notebook with a unicorn on the cover. Inside were dozens of pages filled with Zara's neat handwriting and childish drawings. "It's a diary," Santos said, flipping through the pages. "Look at these dates. She's been keeping it since before her mother was imprisoned." The early entries described a happy family that gradually changed as Ray became more controlling. Zara had documented her father's growing anger, her mother's fear, and finally, the terrible day when her mother disappeared. Only Zara knew the truth, that her mother was locked in the basement, not gone at all. "This could be critical evidence," Santos said, bagging the journal carefully. "But there's something else we're missing. If Evelyn was locked up for 3 years, she must have found some way to cope, to track time." "Let's check the basement again," Lin suggested. Back in the hidden room, they searched more thoroughly. Behind the thin mattress, Santos discovered a loose brick in the wall. When she removed it, she found a second journal, this one made from scraps of paper torn from food packaging and held together with threads pulled from the mattress. "Evelyn's journal," Santos whispered. The pages contained dated entries written in tiny script to conserve space, some in what appeared to be dried blood when she had no other way to write. March 15th. Ray let Zara bring me breakfast today. She looks thin. I pretended to be strong, but after she left, I cried. My baby is suffering, and I'm powerless to help her. Must find a way out. April 2nd. Heard Zara playing piano upstairs. Made a small hole in ceiling insulation to hear better. Her music keeps me sane. June 18th. Ray was drunk. Threatened to end it all if anyone ever discovered his secret. Must protect Zara at all costs. Page after page documented Evelyn's captivity and her desperate attempts to maintain her sanity. She had scratched marks on the wall to track days, created a tiny peephole to glimpse sunlight from a basement vent, and composed coded messages on the food wrappers that returned upstairs, hoping someone might notice. She never gave up, Lin said softly, reading over Santos's shoulder. And look at this. Santos pointed to entries from the week before. She deliberately convinced Ray to take Zara to the doctor when she saw the wrist injury. She created their escape plan. By morning, the forensics team had uncovered even more evidence. Hidden in Ray's home office, they found a locked cabinet containing video recordings of his sessions with Evelyn, horrific documentation of abuse he had inflicted. As punishment for perceived infractions, they also discovered a detailed journal of his own, outlining his plans and justifications. He lost his job 3 years ago. Santos explained to the prosecutor who had arrived to review the evidence. According to his writings, he blamed Evelyn for his failures. When she tried to leave with Zara, he attacked her and created this elaborate imprisonment scheme. And the community believed his story about abandonment? Completely. He even created fake emails from Evelyn's account to friends and family, claiming she needed space. Forged postcards from different states. He spent months establishing the narrative before he actually imprisoned her. At the hospital, the next morning, Zara woke to find her mother already awake, watching her sleep. "Morning, sweetheart," Evelyn said, her voice stronger than the day before. "You look better," Zara observed, noticing more color in her mother's cheeks. "The doctors say the IV nutrition is helping," Evelyn explained. "And really good news. Aunt Karen's flight lands at 10 this morning." Zara hesitated. "I barely remember her." "She's wonderful. And she has kids close to your age. Your cousins Emma and Tyler." A gentle knock at the door interrupted them. Detective Santos entered, carrying 2 evidence bags. "Good morning," she greeted them. "I hope I'm not intruding, but we found something I thought you should know about." She carefully removed the journals from the evidence bags, showing them to Evelyn and Zara from inside the clear plastic. "You kept a journal too?" Zara asked her mother in surprise. Evelyn nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "It was the only way to keep track of time, to feel human." "And you, Zara," Santos said gently. "Your journal documents years of abuse. The district attorney says both journals will be powerful evidence in building the case against your father." "You found my notebook?" Zara asked, both relieved and embarrassed. "I wrote in it every night when Dad wasn't watching." "But he was. Always watching," Evelyn said, confused. "The cameras." "Not when he thought I was sleeping," Zara explained. "I'd pretend to be asleep, then use a flashlight under my blanket. I kept the notebook hidden inside my mattress." Detective Santos smiled. "Both of you found ways to record the truth when you couldn't speak it aloud. Those journals tell the story your voices couldn't." "Will we have to testify?" Evelyn asked, worry creasing her brow. "I don't know if Zara could handle facing him in court." "The prosecutor will try to avoid that," Santos assured them. "With the physical evidence, the journals, and the video recordings we found in your husband's office, they may not need live testimony." "Video recordings?" Evelyn whispered, her face paling. Santos nodded grimly. "He documented everything. It's disturbing, but it means his own recordings will help convict him." A nurse appeared at the door. "Ms. Miller, your sister has arrived." Moments later, a woman with the same green eyes as Evelyn rushed into the room. "Evie!" she cried, carefully embracing her sister before turning to Zara. "And you must be my niece. My God, you've grown so much." As Aunt Karen hugged her, Zara felt a strange mixture of emotions. Joy at finding family she barely remembered, grief for the years lost, and something else that took her a moment to identify: hope. For the first time in 3 years, Zara allowed herself to hope. 3 months passed. Summer arrived, bringing warm days and new beginnings. Zara and her mother had moved to Colorado to live with Aunt Karen and her family. Evelyn was gaining strength each day, attending therapy twice weekly. Zara was slowly adjusting to life with her cousins, though nightmares still interrupted her sleep several times a week. Then came the phone call they had been dreading. "The prosecutor needs Zara's testimony after all," Aunt Karen said, hanging up the phone and turning to her sister with worried eyes. "Ray's defense team is claiming she was confused, that she misunderstood the situation." Evelyn's face hardened. "Of course they are. Ray always twisted everything to make himself look innocent." "Do I have to see him?" Zara asked, her voice small. Ms. Nguyen, who had remained involved in their case despite the move across state lines, leaned forward. You would be in the same courtroom, yes, but there are ways to make it easier. You could testify with a screen blocking your view of your father, or even via closed-circuit television from another room. No, Zara said, surprising everyone. I want to look at him when I tell the truth. I'm not afraid anymore. That wasn't entirely true. She was terrified. But something stronger than fear burned inside her now. A determination to ensure her father never hurt anyone again. The day of the trial arrived too quickly. Zara wore a new blue dress that Aunt Karen had bought specially for the occasion. Her long brown hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail. She looked like any ordinary 12-year-old, except for the shadows that still lingered in her eyes. The Hae courthouse was intimidating, all marble floors and echoing hallways. Ms. Nguyen walked beside Zara, explaining each step of the process. Dr. Kapoor had flown in from their old town to provide support, and now sat with Aunt Karen in the courtroom. Evelyn would testify later, so she waited in a separate witness room. Remember, Ms. Nguyen said quietly as they approached the courtroom doors, just tell the truth. Take your time. If you need a break, just say so. Zara nodded, her heart hammering in her chest. Inside, the courtroom fell silent as she entered. She kept her eyes forward, avoiding looking at the defense table where she knew her father sat. The judge, an older woman with kind eyes, spoke gently to Zara. You're being very brave today. I know this isn't easy. Just answer the questions as honestly as you can. After being sworn in, Zara finally allowed herself to look at her father. Ray Miller sat beside his lawyer, wearing a suit that made him look like the respectable businessman he'd always pretended to be. His face showed no emotion as he met his daughter's gaze. The prosecutor, Ms. Alvarez, approached. Zara, can you tell the court what happened the day you went to Dr. Kapoor's office? Taking a deep breath, Zara began her story. Her voice trembled at first, but grew stronger as she continued. She described how her father had grabbed her wrist during one of his rages, how her mother had convinced him to take her to the doctor, how terrified she had been that he would discover her plan. What plan was that? Ms. Alvarez asked. To get help, Zara replied. Mom and I knew this might be our only chance. I was supposed to show my bruises to the doctor somehow. It was the only way to save Mom. And why did your mother need saving? Because she wasn't gone like Dad told everyone. He kept her locked in our basement for 3 years. He hurt her all the time. He hurt me too, when I didn't follow his rules. Exactly right. How did he hurt you? Zara swallowed hard. He would grab me really hard, twist my arms. Sometimes he'd push me down the stairs or against walls. Once he broke my fingers because I tried to use the phone while he was at work. Throughout her testimony, Ray's expression never changed. He watched her with the same controlled blankness he had always shown when punishing her. But this time, his stare couldn't silence her. Ray's defense attorney tried to paint a different picture during cross-examination. Isn't it possible you misunderstood what was happening? Perhaps your mother was ill, and your father was trying to care for her at home? No, Zara said firmly. He kept her chained up. He starved her. He made me tell everyone she had abandoned us. Children often have active imaginations. I'm not imagining the cameras he put in every room to watch me, Zara interrupted, her voice rising. I'm not imagining the bruises or broken bones. I'm not imagining how he threatened to kill my mother if I ever told anyone she was in the basement. The defense attorney attempted several more times to confuse Zara or trap her in contradictions, but she remained steady. When asked why she hadn't told anyone at school, she explained simply. He showed me videos of Mom every morning before school. He said if I didn't come straight home, or if I told anyone, he would hurt her worse than before. I believed him because I'd seen him do it. By the time Zara finished testifying, many in the courtroom were wiping away tears. Even the court reporter had to pause several times to compose herself. Only Ray remained unmoved, his eyes cold, as he watched his daughter destroy his carefully constructed lies. As Zara stepped down from the witness stand, she passed close to the defense table. For a moment, father and daughter locked eyes. Ray leaned forward slightly, whispering something only she could hear. "You'll regret this." But Zara didn't flinch. Instead, she straightened her shoulders and spoke clearly enough for the judge to hear. "No, Dad. You're the one who should have regrets." Then she walked to where Dr. Kapoor and Aunt Karen waited, her steps lighter than they had been in years. Behind her, the judge ordered Ray to stop intimidating witnesses and threatened him with removal from the courtroom. Outside in the hallway, Zara collapsed into Dr. Kapoor's arms, finally allowing the tears to come. But these weren't tears of fear. They were tears of release. "You did it," Dr. Kapoor whispered, holding her tight. "You told your truth." Zara nodded against the doctor's shoulder. "He can't hurt us anymore. Not with his hands, not with his words." For the first time since entering the courtroom, Zara smiled. 2 weeks later, the trial concluded. Ray Miller was found guilty on all counts: kidnapping, false imprisonment, child abuse, assault, and a dozen other charges. The judge sentenced him to 30 years in prison, without possibility of parole for 20 years. "It's really over," Evelyn whispered, as they left the courthouse for the final time. Aunt Karen had her arm around Evelyn's shoulders, while Zara walked between Dr. Kapoor and Ms. Nguyen. "You can focus on healing now," Ms. Nguyen told them. "Both of you." That evening, as they prepared to fly back to Colorado, Detective Santos arrived at their hotel with a large cardboard box. "What's this?" Evelyn asked. "Some of Zara's belongings from the house," Santos explained. "The investigation is complete, so we're releasing personal items. I thought you might want these before you leave." The box contained Zara's favorite books, some clothing, and a few treasured possessions: a music box her grandmother had given her, a stuffed rabbit she'd had since infancy, and a collection of seashells from a beach trip before everything changed. "Thank you," Zara said, hugging the stuffed rabbit close. "There's one more thing," Santos added, pulling an envelope from her jacket. "We found these just yesterday, during final processing of the scene." Inside the envelope were dozens of drawings, carefully stacked and preserved in plastic sleeves. Zara's eyes widened in recognition. "My pictures," she whispered. "You drew these?" Dr. Kapoor asked, looking at the top drawing. It showed a simple house with a stick figure in what appeared to be a basement or lower level. Zara nodded. "I had to be careful. If Dad found them, he would know I was thinking about telling someone about Mom." Santos spread the drawings on the hotel bed. They formed a haunting visual diary, drawing after drawing of the house, many with detailed floor, plans showing the hidden door in the pantry. Some showed a woman in the basement. Others depicted Ray with angry slashes of red crayon for eyes. "You hid these under your mattress?" Santos asked. "No, that's where I kept my journal. These were under the loose floorboard in my closet." Zara traced her finger over one drawing. "I started making them right after Dad put Mom in the basement. I thought maybe someday I could show them to someone who could help us." Evelyn covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face as she looked at her daughter's artistic cry for help. "All this time, you were trying to find a way." The most recent drawings, dated just before their rescue, showed a new figure, a woman with a stethoscope. In one picture, this figure stood outside the house with what looked like X-ray vision, seeing through the walls to the woman in the basement. "Is this Dr. Kapoor?" Ms. Nguyen asked gently. Zara nodded. "I drew it the night before our appointment. I prayed she would somehow see what was happening." Dr. Kapoor's eyes filled with tears as she studied the drawing. "You planned it all along." "Mom. And I talked about it when Dad let me bring her food," Zara explained. "We knew the wrist was our chance. Dad always got nervous about injuries that showed. Mom told him it might be infected, and I made sure to act like it hurt really bad. So your visit to my office wasn't an accident," Dr. Kapoor said. "You deliberately showed me your bruises." "I tried to," Zara confirmed. "I pulled up my sleeve when I thought you were looking. I was so scared you wouldn't notice." Detective Santos carefully gathered the drawings. "These explain something that's been bothering me. Your father was meticulous about controlling both of you, yet he took you to a doctor he didn't know well for an injury that might raise questions. It seemed out of character." "He thought he had prepared for everything," Evelyn said. "He threatened Zara that morning, reminded her what would happen to me if she said anything suspicious. He trusted his control over her. But he underestimated both of you," Dr. Kapoor observed. 2 months later, life in Colorado had developed a new rhythm. Zara had started school, making a few cautious friendships. Evelyn had gained enough strength to take short walks around the neighborhood. Both continued with therapy, working through the trauma of their captivity. On a sunny September afternoon, a familiar car pulled into Aunt Karen's driveway. "Dr. Kapoor!" Zara exclaimed, running outside to greet her. "You came! I promised I would visit, didn't I?" Dr. Kapoor hugged the girl, noticing how much healthier she looked. "I had a medical conference in Denver, so I took an extra day to see you." Inside, Evelyn welcomed her with a warm embrace. "We can never thank you enough. I'm just happy to see you both doing so well," Dr. Kapoor said sincerely. After lunch, Zara disappeared upstairs, returning with a large envelope. "I made something for you," she told Dr. Kapoor shyly. Inside was a drawing, far more detailed and skillful than the desperate pictures from before. It showed Dr. Kapoor standing in her white coat, surrounded by children of different ages. Above, her head was written, "Some heroes wear stethoscopes." "My art therapist helped me with the shading," Zara explained. "But I wanted to make you something special." Dr. Kapoor carefully studied the drawing, noting how different it was from the frightened sketches Zara had hidden under her floorboard. This picture showed hope, gratitude, and a growing confidence in the young artist. "It's beautiful," she said. "I'll frame it for my office." "There's more," Zara said, reaching back into the envelope. She pulled out another drawing, this one showing herself and her mother standing in front of a small house. "This is our new place. Aunt Karen is helping Mom buy it. We move in next month." "Your own home," Dr. Kapoor smiled. "That's wonderful." "It's close to Aunt Karen, but it's just for us," Zara continued. "Mom says we need our own space to heal. And guess what? There's no basement." Later, as Dr. Kapoor prepared to leave, Zara walked her to the car. The evening sun cast long shadows across the peaceful suburban street, so different from the prison-like house where Zara had spent 3 years of her childhood. "Dr. Kapoor, can I tell you something?" Zara asked, suddenly. "Serious?" "Of course. That day in your office, when you asked to see my wrist, I was so scared. Not just of Dad, but that you wouldn't believe me if I told you the truth." Dr. Kapoor nodded. "That's why you showed me instead of telling me." "Yes. I couldn't say the words, but I thought maybe the X-ray would show all the old broken bones. Mom and I had talked about it so many times, trying to figure out how to get help without putting her in danger. You were incredibly brave and smart, Zara." The girl looked up at the doctor, her eyes clear and direct in a way they had never been. "During that first examination, the real emergency wasn't my broken wrist at all." "I know," Dr. Kapoor said gently. "It was my mom, trapped behind walls for 3 years," Zara continued. "And me, trapped by his threats and cameras and lies. We were both screaming for help, but no one could hear us. Until you found a way to be heard," Dr. Kapoor reminded her. "You found a way to show what you couldn't say." Zara smiled, a full, genuine smile that transformed her face. "And you saw us. You really saw us." As Dr. Kapoor drove away, she glanced in her rearview mirror. Zara stood in the driveway, waving. Goodbye. No longer the frightened girl from the waiting room, but a survivor beginning to write a new story. One without silent cries or hidden truths. A story of her own choosing. That was the end of this story. Where are you listening from? If you enjoyed this emotional journey, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more such interesting stories. Share this video with your friends and family to spread kindness and awareness. Sometimes, the most important cries for help are the ones we can't hear.